You have ever wanted to know how long a steroid or a drug is in your system, as someone asks? You gotta watch this video. I'm going to explain it to you perfectly. Okay, so I've heard this question a million times, and I'm sure you guys have heard this too. How long is some drug, how long is testosterone in my system, right? So that's the question everyone wants to know sometimes. So when you take something, how long is it actually in your system? Which leads you to the next question is, has it been out of my system long enough to start something else? Okay, that is a totally different question and a completely different thing, okay? But right now, I'm gonna show you guys how to figure out if something is still in your system, and if it is, how much is actually still there. All right, so I'm sure everyone's heard of half-lives, right? So that's kind of the key to this whole thing. Now I have a chart, I use this all the time, and we're gonna go through it, and I think you're gonna understand exactly what I'm talking about. So half-lives, you see at the bottom I have some examples. So testosterone and nanthate. Now when you look up drugs on Google and you see what's the half-life of Trimble and acetate, what's the half-life of testosterone and nanthate, you're going to get some different numbers depending on where you look, and that's for good cause because everyone's body is going to metabolize drugs at a different rate in a different way, right? So testosterone and nanthate, we're going to say is 7 days for this example. It could be less, could be more, depending on the person. And that's the same with all the drugs, right? So number of half-lives. You see I have a chart 0 to 10. Now, we're going to start at no half-lives have passed. That means 100% of the steroid is still remaining in your system. 1 half-life has passed. That means half of the life, right? 50%. 50% of that steroid is still in your system. 50% has been removed. Now, 2 half-lives have passed. So now, what's half of 50? 25, which means that 75% of that steroid has been removed. Now, once you get down to 5 and 6 half-lives, at that point, the percentage of the steroid that's out of your system is around 96 to 98%, which is basically all of it, in my opinion. 93 is not enough for me to say it's basically all gone. Now, obviously, if you see the more half-lives there are, the more of the steroid that's been removed, okay? Down here at the bottom, we have 99.9, and that's at 10 half-lives, and that's like, you're pretty sure it's all gone. Now, that doesn't mean you're gonna pass the drug test, which is also another conversation, okay? That doesn't mean you're gonna pass a drug test. So let's look at some examples. Boldenone, aka EQ. Now, I'm not gonna go on a rant about how I hate EQ, but we're gonna talk about the half-life of it because it's got such a long half-life. Now, I put 14 days. It could easily be longer depending on the person. So looking at the chart, 5 half-lives. That means, what's its half-life? 14 days. Multiply that by 5, that's 70 days. So at 70 days, 96.88% of that steroid is going to be out of your system. All right, now let's look at 6 days. That means 98% is out of your system, so 84 days, 84 days. And then 98 days, which is here, means that 99% of EQ is out of your system. 98 days, that's over 3 months just for EQ from your last shot to be mostly out of your system. And again, for EQ, that's not even really a guarantee. Now, if you went to 10 half-lives, think about that. That's 140 days. That is a lot longer than a bunch of you guys are probably expecting, right? So let's look at testosterone and nanthate. This is one everyone knows about, everyone takes, right? So let's look at half-life of 5. So that's sort of the tipping point, I would say. So 5 times 7, 35 days. So at least 35 days is how long it's going to take for testosterone and nanthate to get completely out of your system. Now, I know there's people that are going to want to argue with this about the specifics, but I'm just trying to get you to think outside the box to understand this, because I don't know how many times I've heard people in the gym say, when you take a shot of Test E, it's only in your system for 7 days. No, that's the half-life. You got to do the math. All right, so I've done the math for you. I've laid it out. Screenshot this. You can plug and play the drug and the half-lives. And the same thing for orals. So like Anavar has about an 8-hour half-life. So 8 hours times 5 is 40 hours. So once you take it and it starts to get digested and that clock starts, 40 hours is how long it takes for it to get out of your system, or at least 96.8% of it, right? And obviously you could do the half-life of 10 to be sure. 10 times 8, that's 80 hours. So, do the math. So this is how you figure out the clearance times of anything you take. Now you have, like I said earlier, you look up the half-lives of stuff. It's going to give you different numbers on this, but just do the math. Screenshot that slide that I had for you, and you'll never have to wonder. And you can always explain it to people and show them this chart, tell them that my channel is where you heard it, because I haven't seen anyone else explain it like this. All right, so if you like information like this and you'd like to see more of it, please subscribe to my channel. It would help me out a lot. Thank you.